Okay. First of all, thank you everyone for coming to our community call today. A bit of housekeeping before we get going. So we are going to record the first part of the call where we talk through our strategic priorities and some of the activities and things that are going on within the European chapter. But when we open for like a sort of discussion and questions towards the end, we're going to stop recording. So hopefully to encourage discussion. So do feel free to chip in at that point. You can put any questions or anything you'd like to mention in the chat as we go, and we'll make sure we come to it at the end as well. So you're going to hear from the current European Ecological Forecasting Initiative Steering Committee today about some of the sort of strategic priorities we see for the chapter in the near term, so in the next sort of 3 years. We're going to talk a little bit about some of those activities might look like for meeting those priorities and some of the things we're already doing. But I think just to start by saying, I know many of you are familiar with the European Ecological Forecasting Initiative and have been to our seminars and engaged with our activities already. So massive thank you for that. We've been going about a year now, and we feel like we've got some good ideas and there's a good community out there. And we're hoping to grow it and to engage more people in the chapter and really build some momentum in the near term. So for anyone that wasn't aware, the European Ecological Forecasting Initiative is, we're hoping it will become a focal point for activities and issues related to ecological forecasting in Europe. And we hope to do that through hosting a range of activities and sort of becoming the sort of go-to, I guess, for any sort of queries or networking around ecological forecasting on the continent. And we hope that together with that network then and bringing the community together, we actually might be able to do some really cool science and research as well, and thinking about how we can address some of the issues that still remain for applied ecological forecasting. And we'll talk about some of that today. For everything Ecological Forecasting Initiative focused, do check out the website. We've got the European chapter as a sort of drop down from the main Eco Forecast website. So we've got everything European ecological forecasting there. We probably will establish our own website at some point to manage that bit better, but everything you need, all the information you need is there. So the website's at the bottom, and we'll point you towards various things today as we go through this. Cool. Okay. Jodie, over to you.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I am the community manager for the larger EFI community, and I don't want to take up too much time today because I want you guys to be able to focus on the what the European chapter is doing. But I did want to share some of these bigger or broader ranging resources that are available to everyone. And as the European chapter develops more, we could add your resources to some of these things. So we have newsletters that come out every 4 to 6 weeks. If you're on the listserv to get the European chapter emails, you'll also get this newsletter, and we have one that's coming out tomorrow. We've got our Slack group, and this is where more of the day-to-day conversations and announcements take place. We've got a number of channels, but I just wanted to highlight a couple that I thought might be of interest. So we have the European chapter channel, which is for this group. We've also got channels for funding and job opportunities that anyone can post to. And we've got a channel for papers. So as new ecological forecasting papers come out, post those there. Those papers then get saved to our Zotero library, and this is a public bibliography that anyone can go back to and get those resources. On the website, we have a repository for forecasting projects, so you can go look at those projects, or you can, if you've got operational forecasts, we can get those on the repository as well. We've got a YouTube channel and a GitHub repository where code and recordings get put. We've got a lot of education materials that are on the website, as well as this CUBES platform. The CUBES platform is for open educational resources, and we're hoping to add more to that. And then I also wanted to highlight this opportunity that anyone can become an EFI member. And by becoming a member, you confirm that you are committing to a community of practice of developing ecological forecasts, and that you share the EFI's shared values and support the EFI community. Membership is free, and every new member can get a mug. So I just wanted to share those opportunities. All of this that I've just shared is on our Get Involved webpage on the EcoForecast website, so you can always get more information there too. All right, Vicki, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thanks, Jodie. That's awesome. And embarrassingly, I only signed up for my membership yesterday, but I look forward to receiving my mug. Okay, great. Next, then, just a quick agenda for what we're going to cover in the next sort of half an hour. I'm going to go through some of our strategic priorities that we've outlined in a document, which is now available via the website. Owen's then going to talk a little bit about getting involved with working groups and what working groups are. Then back to me to talk about steering committee elections. So this is your opportunity to get involved with the sort of management and governance of the European chapter. And Maria and Estem then are going to tell us about some exciting upcoming opportunities and activities. And then we'll open for any questions or discussion as well at the end. So the European chapter's near-term strategic plan. So we've been working on this over the summer as a sort of our small founding committee, and the aim of the document really was to try and outline what our strategic priorities are for the next sort of 3 years and how we hope to try and address those priorities. It's also a means of sort of laying out what you as the European community can expect from the European chapter, and ways in which you might be able to engage with that and help to steer the European ecological forecasting community going forward. And really the key sort of question we're trying to address in the near term is how we can make the European chapter the sort of go-to platform for anyone that's engaged in ecological forecasting, research, policy and practice in Europe. So we'd love to have a huge network and a community established across the continent, representing research, policy and practice, and bringing all those ideas and the knowledge across those communities together to really provide like a hub of information and resources and connections for the community and build that going forward. Now, the strategy document is now live on our website, so you can go and read the strategy document yourselves, but we're going to go over just the key priorities and activities now. But have a look on the European drop down. You should find the strategy document there, and you're very welcome to email with any thoughts or comments on that as well. So we've got 3 key priorities in the near term. The first one is really about establishing or creating a collaborative and engaged community representing diversity in the European community, both in terms of the individuals and the institutions involved in ecological forecasting. So really what that looks like is trying to grow the number of people that are interested in our activities. So we have had the seminar series running now for a year, and we've got calls like this one. We had another call last year similar to this when we launched the European chapter. And we've had some fairly good engagement with that and some fairly good good number of sign-ups on the mailing list. But we know there's a huge network out there that we still have yet to sort of really tap into. So one of the things is to increase the number of people that are routinely engaging in our activities. So we want more people at seminars asking more questions. We want more people involved in the activities we're going to talk about in the next sort of 20 minutes. And part of that is then also increasing the number and the types of activities that we're offering as the European chapter. And we'll talk about some of those in a minute. But many of you know we already have this seminar series running. So that's a monthly online seminar series, the second Wednesday, my apologies, of each month. Istem's going to talk to you shortly about this European Ecological Forecasting Initiative's General Assembly, which we're hoping to run next year. We've got opportunities to get involved with working groups and the steering committee, and we're hoping Maria's going to talk a little bit about training opportunities as well. So we're hoping to really grow the number of activities, and in doing so, grow the number of people that are then engaging and getting involved with the European chapter. So that's our first priority, is really to try and grow engagement with our community. Number two is to try and generate and influence funding opportunities for ecological forecasting in Europe, both in terms of research and applications. So this is really more about trying to position ourselves as a hub of knowledge and insight into European ecological forecasting, so that we might be able to influence the opportunities available to the community in funding, and also applying for some of that money as well, hopefully as a community, and bringing more money into ecological forecasting in Europe. So we want to draw on our community to sort of identify what those research priorities are and what the decision-making needs are for European ecological forecasting. And part of that then might be to produce position papers, which sort of identify priorities and opportunities and needs from the European community, which can then be used to help inform funding strategies. And we really need to tap into our European network to do that. So looking at different funding bodies across the continent and really trying to get the message out there about what the needs and opportunities are in European ecological forecasting. So a couple of ways in which we hope to do that. One of those is the European Ecological Forecasting Challenge. So this is something we'd like to establish in a European context. It's already being run very successfully in a US context. So we'd take a lot of learning from that and hopefully try and establish a European forecasting challenge to engage different groups in building and testing forecast products. Looking at funding opportunities and thinking how we might apply to them, and also looking at opportunities for awards. So can we nominate anyone in our European community for sort of national or international awards, and really draw attention to the ecological forecasting that's going on within our community and highlighting that and its excellence. And then the final priority is really more of a broader sort of science and research aim, is to improve the quality of the forecasting science within the European community and in support of the global network. So recognizing that the European community is a big component of the global network, and that a lot of the challenges faced with forecasting in Europe are shared across the globe, but that we also have unique challenges and policy frameworks and social contexts and ecological contexts as well that require a more sort of focused approach. So thinking about how we can increase knowledge exchange within the European community and then to the broader global community. So hoping to engage in more activities, conferences, seminars, etc., with academics, policymakers, and practitioners. But also trying to improve the translation of ecological forecasting research into operational sort of tools and support systems to support policy and practice and decision-making needs across the continent as well. And that's where some of the more context-specific questions about how Europe might differ from other places around the world really comes in. So what are our policy and practice needs in Europe, and how do those differ or align with other continents and other communities around the world? So key activities here is to continue and expand our seminar series. So we really want more diverse speakers from more diverse disciplines. So we'd like to get some social science in there, some meteorologists in there, as well as our great ecological community, to really understand how those different disciplines can come together and learn from one another. We want more institutions and more countries represented in our seminar series, and more diversity of individuals as well. We think that the forecasting challenge could be a great way of doing this. We can think about making sure that those challenges are very solutions focused, so addressing real questions and real problems being posed by policy and practice in Europe, and then providing training in how to really do that well. So all those priorities are outlined in our strategic document, and you can read a bit more detail there, which is on our website. So I'll leave you to look at that in your own time, but if you do have any questions, then do get in contact. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Owen to talk about working groups.
Thank you very much, Vicky. So those were the near-term strategic priorities, what we'd like to achieve, growth of engagement, generating more impact, and if you like, research and development in the third priority. And the question then is how do we get that done? The model that we're thinking of is the model that the Ecological Forecasting Initiative has used and developed very successfully, and that is of an organizational structure of working groups. A group of each of these obviously being a group of individuals working together with a specific goal in mind, a rather concrete goal in mind. This is an approach to getting things done and spreading the work also, which is increasing capacity and creates the ability to parallelize work as well. And so I think it's been very successful for the Ecological Forecasting Initiative. You can see the screenshot from the website there with the working groups tab brought down. First is chapters, which is we're one of those, and then the working groups, for example, theory and synthesis, cyber infrastructure, methods and tools, and so on. So that organization into working groups accomplishes all of those things we just talked about: increasing capacity, parallelization, and getting a lot of stuff done by a lot of people. And I think one of the key things for working groups is a motivated leader, or a motivated and tightly coupled leadership team there to push things forward and move things forward, and to bring people on board into the working group as well. So we think that is a promising model to import, if you like, and copy and use as well in the European chapter. Next slide, please, Vicky. Here's an example of the theory and synthesis working group of the Ecological Forecasting Initiative, and one of their activities is are calls, regular calls. So it says there the theory group will meet on Mondays at 2 p.m. And so on. It's approximately once a month, right? And then there I understand that they discuss all of the things that are relevant, progress on their projects. An example of one of those projects is this paper that they produced, The Power of Forecasts to Advance Ecological Theory. So again, I think this working group has produced this report, and it's a really concrete and superb outcome. And the working groups work very well when they have such concrete aims in mind. And I think that's what we should aim for as well. Yep, next slide. Another example is the methods and tools working group of EFI, and Jodie mentioned some of the educational resources that have been introduced by EFI. Here we can see that they've been producing a lot of blog posts also. So those are outcomes of that working group. Next slide, please. So what do we think could be the working groups that we have in the European chapter? But it's possible that we could want to replicate some of the more North American EFI working groups in Europe, because it might make it easier to make progress, just operationally easier, because we don't have that time difference then. We're all much better synchronized. I think if we were to do that, we'd obviously have to be in very good communication with the EFI working group so that we don't duplicate any work. Perhaps some of them should be replicated for the reason that there are European specific goals in terms of translation and actionable science. I can imagine there that there are European specific goals for a working group there, and so replication would be important and not duplicate. Whereas for theory and synthesis, I can imagine that pure replication would not be such a good idea, because there's likely to be very similar interests and topics in Europe as in other regions. And then perhaps there are other unique working groups that are required in Europe. Next slide. And this is what we've thought of given the near-term aims. I've done a little bit of kind of translation, if you like. First one, making a difference in Europe, because that might be the second near-term aim about generating funding, making impact. Communication, outreach and informing, producing white papers. A working group on that, I can imagine, would be a good thing. I think also we should think about having a working group on kind of the next generation that's focused on education and training, because there are unique opportunities for funding training and education in Europe. And also, if we do it in Europe, then I think we're going to be aiming to pull in students from Europe and have it as a relatively local activity, though still very closely integrated with EFI and all of the resources that they've produced, so that we're not duplicating those efforts, but rather we're using them. I sometimes feel a little bit guilty that we take so much from EFI, but it's not like that at all. It's given freely, and it's really important for us to use all of those resources, but to direct it towards the European community. Vicky's mentioned the European Forecasting Challenge idea. We think that is a really important opportunity for us. And a working group on that, I think, would be a very, very good thing to have. The reason why we think it's such a good opportunity is because of the impact that the forecasting challenge that EFI has made has had. It's had a huge impact. It has received funding in North America, and that's really been very important for it to be able to do all of the things it was doing. And my understanding is that it's really created a very strong hub for both research activities, operational forecasting and education all together. So it's a kind of activity and a kind of working group that actually can actually meet multiple of the near-term strategic aims at the same time. So I think that's actually really important. And also, there's a huge amount of resources, software resources, that I know, because I've communicated with those who made them, that are not actually they've been designed to be portable and to be reusable very easily elsewhere. So at least some aspects of having a European Forecasting Challenge are as easy as they could be to implement, thanks to the work that was done in EFI Forecasting Challenge. And then the fourth one here is the funding opportunities hub idea of a working group. What are the funding opportunities that we can apply for to support the chapter itself? Last year there was an opportunity for network coordination funding, but we didn't see it early enough to be able to get in an application. So it would be really good to have a working group that was looking for funding opportunities, both for supporting the network itself, the chapter itself, and coordinating the chapter itself, organising it, but also opportunities for things like the forecasting challenge and other funding sources for actually doing the research and development, and also maybe to think about how to increase the number of funding opportunities influencing what is funded. Good. They're just some of the ideas that we've had, perhaps more coming from me, but I think that they're very, they really come from the near-term strategic goals. That's where they're coming from, and my interpretation of them a bit. And I've just made a note here that just came to mind. Perhaps consider the steering committee itself to be a working group that's mostly concerned with oversight, governance, and organisation, and also the first of the strategic goals, which is growth and growth of the community and stabilisation of the community. Good. Thank you. Is there another slide?
I think that's it. Thanks, Owen.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Brilliant. So that's what. So Owen's talked about working groups as one means to get involved with the European Ecological Forecasting Initiative. The other way which we wanted to talk about today is an opportunity to join the European Steering Committee. So at present, we're a sort of team of 7 of us, which meet once a month, and we discuss what we want to do, and we've worked out those strategic priorities. We've established the seminar series, running the call today, these sorts of activities, and also sort of conference sessions as well. But we're really keen to increase the number of members on the steering committee and the diversity of perspectives represented, including some early career researchers as well, or early career scientists on our committee. So we're now launching this opportunity to apply to join the steering committee. So in this first instance, what we're looking for is 4 members to join the existing committee members. So you'd be joining our team of 7. We think it's important to keep our initial team initially because just to maintain momentum and consistency. But in following years, there will be a turnover of steering committee members as well. So initially looking for 4 members, 2 of which we'd like to be from early career positions to join the existing committee. We want to include different disciplinary backgrounds, locations, and career stages in our committee. And initially, it would be a 2-year term that you'd agree to. This sort of time commitment really is, at the moment, we meet once a month for an hour. We also have an hour online seminar every month as well. So there's sort of a couple of hours that you would be committing to each month. But then really the workload will depend on the activities and the sort of priorities that we're working on at the time. So there might be some more work to do around establishing working groups and websites and things like this as well. And that really will depend on what the priority and the tasks are at any given time. But it shouldn't be too onerous. And really, it's been, in my experience so far, from the past year, it's been a really nice opportunity to meet others and work with others from the European community that I hadn't previously worked with, and to connect with different things that are going on, different research that's going on in the community. So it's a great sort of career development opportunity. It's a great opportunity to really influence and help strategize research and science and impact priorities for ecological forecasting going forward as well. So we'd see it as a brilliant opportunity to get involved. We're opening applications now. So there's a form online, which you can see linked here, but also from the Ecological Forecasting Initiative website. So again, go on the European drop down and it's listed under there. So it's just a short form asking for some details and some thoughts from you about what you might be able to bring to the committee, what you see as priorities and how you might like to address those. We're keeping applications open for this until the end of March, and then we'll open for voting from the EFI community membership in April. And then this is really sort of lining up then for an event so in June is the Ecological Forecasting Initiative's conference being held in Europe for the first time. and we're going to have a meeting there just of the European community, so getting everyone together. So we're really lining up for that, and we hope to be able to announce our new committee at that launch, at that sort of meeting, and think about receiving some feedback on what we see as our priorities and how we're moving forward. So if you are interested in joining the steering committee, and we'd encourage you to certainly apply, do get in touch if you have any questions. There's a bit more information on the form. So we do ask, for example, that if you're joining the committee, that you're an EFI member. So that means you've agreed to the sort of operating practices, standard operating practices and procedures, and you are willing to align with sort of EFI community practice, and that you're willing to engage at least for those 2 hours per month, but also for other activities as well that are going on at any given time. So have a look at the form, have a think about whether you'd like to put yourself forward, and do pass on to anyone else that you think might also be worthwhile members of the steering committee, and we will see where we get to and who is going to be our new members come April, May, June time. Okay. So over to, I think this is Maria for upcoming activities, this one.
Yes. So one of the key things that we've been doing since we launched the European chapter has been to organize a monthly seminar series, which I think has gone quite nicely. And I just put the screenshots of the past 8 speakers that we've had so far. We've been continuing it quite nicely over this past year. I think it's also very nice that we've managed to have a diverse set of speakers from all kinds of different places, different career stages, different topics, and so forth. And we are aiming to continue this in the future. And now we have talks lined up all until the end of 2023. And afterwards, yes, we're now currently looking for more speakers and getting in touch with people. And I think one of the key things that I would like to ask of the community in this context is to suggest speakers. If you meet someone who's really into forecasting at a conference or something, and that's just to suggest them, or either for them to contact me or us at the chapter, or just to contact me directly and just suggest one of the speakers that I can get in touch with. Because I think this goes in line with what Vicky said in the beginning, is that we want to really get a quite large diversity of topics in terms of forecasting. So now, for instance, we've managed to get a lot of population ecology studies, community ecology, also meteorology, ecosystem cycling, and so forth. But I think we're lacking still a bit on the social science. So there are some topics that I think we could get a much broader coverage on. So it would be fantastic if we could expand this direction. But overall, to conclude, I think this activity has been quite nice and is continuing, and I hope to keep this into the future as long as we can. Yeah.
Thanks, Maria. And still with Maria, I think, on training.
Yes, the second. So this was sort of, I think, a second thing when we discussed this summer of our main strategies. And one thing we agreed on is to bring together the community and researchers, and especially early careers researchers, to get them into forecasting. It would be fantastic to organize some courses and to teach some technical skills, maybe even some working groups, organize some groups to discuss common papers, sort of in line with the American side. And from my side, so there are 2 opportunities, is that we may be organizing a course towards the fall of 2024, either directly, it would be in Spain probably, if everything goes well, and either it would be directly in Seville, organized by my research institute in collaboration with the postdoc, who's in my group currently, Or a good alternative is to do it through a nice organization that's below Transmitting Science. They basically take care of all the administrative parts for you, right? So they give you they give you the lodging, they organize the travels, they provide you with all the things necessary, which, however, will of course increase the costs of the course. The other reason why I'm putting up Transmitting Science is because another nice thing is what they have is a fantastic infrastructure for online courses. So that's another thing that I think we discussed, and that also provides a great opportunity, is that potentially we could organize, in addition to having an on-site course, an online course, or even a hybrid course or something, although hybrids, I'm not sure that that's going to work well with courses, but at least a separate online course to expand the activities of the forecasting community, which I think, would really be a good opportunity and would really reach many people at the early career stages. That's it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Maria. Okay, then over to Istem on this one.
Yep, thanks, Vicky. Hi, everyone. So as it was already mentioned many times during this call, we will be holding this face-to-face European Chapter General Assembly next year in June. So in this half-a-day event, we will continue on discussing EFI governance and operations. We will have opportunities for European chapter working groups to have breakout activities. Then we will probably be finishing the day with some kind of a social dinner, but the more detailed agenda will be shared with you all soon in the coming weeks or months. If you could switch to the next slide, Vicky. So this European Chapter General Assembly will take place just the day before this 3-day EFI meeting that is being hosted by Finnish Meteorological Institute in Helsinki, Finland next year. I hope, this meeting is already in your calendars. Please go visit the conference website that is linked on this slide for more information about this conference. So this is the main conference information webpage, and all the latest updates about the conference will be on this website. We have an excellent lineup of keynote speakers, and the registration and abstract submission opens soon in December. If you could switch to the next slide. But what is open right now is this proposal submission form. So currently we are soliciting some ideas for workshops, sessions, panels, socials even, or any kind of activity that you think it would be nice to see once we are all meeting face to face there. I think, and I hope the form itself is self-explanatory, but if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. But as the organizing committee, we are right now trying to shape up the conference program, and this is your chance to influence the program a bit. Say, for example, if you would like to see a panel on mentoring, or if you would like to teach a short course on a method that you're developing, or demo a tool, a data set, you can suggest those kinds of activities by filling this form. And then as the organizing committee, we will help you with the logistics to make it happen as part of the broader EFI conference program. So deadlines for these proposals is approaching soon. So please share your ideas if you would like to see some particular kind of activity during this conference. Yeah, I think that's it from me. I guess we now open the floor for discussions in general.